The Chronicle of Akakor, when the gods came from the heavens. The Akakor Chronicle is a collection of stories written by the Yuga Mongulata tribe who live in the Amazon jungle of Brazil. It contains more than 15,000 years of history from the arrival of the civilized gods to the 70s of our era. They were originally written in the language of the ancient masters or gods on a tree bark. The stories were passed down orally from the tribal prince Tatum Kanara to the German journalist Karl Bruegger, who was working in Brazil and who recorded the entire story on tapes, which was later turned into a book published in 1976. German journalist Karl Bruegger was born in Munich and studied modern history in his home country and in Paris. He was a freelance radio and television correspondent until 1974, and since then worked as a correspondent for German television in Rio de Janeiro. Since 1974, Bruegger has also been a correspondent for several radio and television stations in the Federal Republic of Germany. After completing his studies in modern history and sociology, he left for South America as a journalist, and there he learned about Akakor. In 1972, he met Tatum Kanara, son of a leader in Manaus. Manaus is located at the confluence of the Solimões River and the Negro River, hence the first half of the Amazon River, the Amazon area. Tatum Kanara is the head of the Uga, Mongulata, Daka, and Haisha tribes. Bruegger, a conscientious but skeptical researcher, heard their truly incredible story. After confirming the cross-checking these facts in 1976, he decided to publish the chronicle he had recorded under the title Die Chronik von Akakor, that is, the Chronicle of Akakor. And the Chronicle of Akakor, according to him. The timeline tells the 1,000-year history of South America from the perspective of the Yuga Mongulala tribe, the oldest civilization in the region, revealing many unknown facts that history and archaeology have not been able to explain with certainty until now, such as the construction of the Tiwanaku and Machu Picchu. Even the location of the tribe city of Akakor has not been found due to the vastness of the Amazon jungle. The chronological order, the first thing the chronicle recounts is the arrival of the gods, or ancient teachers, in 13,000 BC from space, who chose the indigenous tribes in the region of the Great River, that is, the Amazon River, to transmit civilization and end their savagery. It taught them to cultivate the earth, to respect the laws of nature and the laws which they bequeathed to preserve the common good. They built great stone cities, both above and below the surface, with temples for sun worship, pyramids for spiritual purposes, and long tunnels that passed beneath what are now Peru and Bolivia, Brazil and Venezuela. 3,000 years after their arrival, these sky gods returned to their world, a date set in the dating of the Akakor Chronicles as year 0, corresponding to 10,481 BC. The history of the Agua Mongulala tribe manages to move with the number of adversities it had to go through to survive for over 15,000 years, both in natural disasters, wars against other tribes, and against the, quote, white barbarians, end quote, the conquerors who came from Europe in the 15th century, and who almost succeeded in their extinction. If the race has remained unknown to this day, it's due to the special characteristics of its history and the complete isolation of the people whose history is told. The latest discoveries arise from the systematic invasion of the Amazon, confirmed Chief Tatum Kanara's account of his people, thus lending credence to something which can no longer be ignored. The Akakor Chronicles is divided into 4 parts and covers a period of just over 10,000 years of life of the people of Mongulala. The Book of the Jaguar, dealing with the colonization of Earth by the gods and the period up to the second global catastrophe. The Book of the Eagle, which covers a period between 6,000 and 11,000, according to their own calendar, and describes the arrival of the Goths. The Book of the Ant, which refers to the struggle against the Spanish and Portuguese colonialists after their arrival in Peru and Brazil. The Book of the Water Serpent, which describes the arrival of 2,000 German soldiers at Akakor and their integration into the people of Uga Mongulala. He also predicts the third great catastrophe. And descriptions from the Chronicle of Akakor. Let's look at some paragraphs taken from the Chronicle of Akakor according to the Tatum Kanara. Quote, "In the beginning, everything was chaos. Man lived like an animal, without speech and without knowledge, without laws and without cultivating the land, without clothing and without even covering his nudity. He did not know the secrets of nature. He lived in groups of 2 or 3 when an accident brought them together, in caves or in rock crevices. Men walked in all directions until the gods arrived, and they brought the light." End quote. The gods knew the course of the stars and the laws of nature. Indeed, they were familiar with the deepest laws of the nature of the universe. 130 families of the ancient fathers came to earth and brought the light. They brought man out of darkness into light. Before the strangers arrived, men wandered like children who cannot find their homes and whose hearts do not know love. They gathered roots, bulbs, and fruits that were wild. They lived in caves and holes in the ground. They challenged their neighbors for the hunted prey. But then the gods came and established a new order in the world. They taught the man to cultivate the land and ride the animals. They are taught to weave the cloth and build permanent houses in families and clans. Thus tribes were born. This was the beginning of light, life, and race. The gods called the people together. They discussed and held councils, and then they made decisions. They chose their servers to live with and to whom they imparted their knowledge. And the gods ruled from Akakor. They ruled over men and over the earth. They had ships faster than the flight of birds. Their ships reached their destination without sails and without oars, both by night and by day. They had magic stones to observe the farthest places, so that they could see cities, rivers, hills, and lakes. Any event that happened on earth or in the sky was reflected in these stones. But most wonderful of all were the subterranean dwellings, and the gods gave them to their chosen servants as their last gifts. Coincidentally, the Akakor Chronicles fits an image known in various mythologies around the world. The gods came from the sky, gave instructions to the first humans, left behind some mysterious devices, and disappeared again into the sky. The disasters described by Tatum Kanara can be related to even the smallest details mentioned in the book Worlds in Collision by Immanuel Velikovsky. As a historical and cultural document, the Chronicle of Akakor gives a comprehensive picture of the spiritual work of one of the oldest peoples of the earth. Our knowledge of South America takes on new dimensions and perspectives through this book, and questions emerge that point to new directions for research. The Chronicle of Akakor reveals to us a dimension that will make even skeptics see that the unthinkable could be fantastically real. And this I've translated for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box